Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think, yeah, isn't it? Yeah, Volume 3. Okay. This movie I gave a 9 out of 10 to. It was a fantastic ending to this series. Unfortunately, yeah, this is probably the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie we're going to get, uh, at least under James Gunn's direction. So just, if we do get another movie, it definitely will not be the same, that's for sure. But yeah, just because I feel like a lot of them were his friends, right? So they've moved on to DC with him, and they're doing big things over there. So I'm happy to see where that goes. Obviously, we know that James Gunn kind of dipped his toes in with the Suicide Squad and then Peacemaker. So he kind of had a footing in there, like in the door before he even really went over completely. But now that he's over there completely, there's a lot of talk about, the different universes, obviously, like Matt Reeves. There's even talk of maybe, uh, oh my god, Zack Snyder coming back to do his universe as well. So, I mean, after Netflix basically kicked Zack Snyder out the door, I don't understand why they had so many big projects with him, but I guess, yeah, I'm not really sure. There must have been stuff happening behind the scenes that just made them want to get rid of him. I don't really know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. He seemed to be bringing Netflix a lot of money, so yeah, it's just weird that he basically kicked out of DC, and now then he moved on to Netflix, did a lot of stuff there, and then now he's not with Netflix anymore, at least from what I've heard. So I guess we'll see where he goes, because there's been rumors now that he's going to be going back to DC to do more of his universe. So I am looking forward to the future of DC. Like, there's a lot of big things that are going to potentially be happening over there. But anyhow, that's not what this is about. I guess I kind of ranted a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, we'll go through the cast list of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 today, because that's what we're talking about. So Chris Pratt played Peter Quill, or Star-Lord, and yeah, or Star-Lord, yeah. Chikwudi Luigi, I want to say, played the High Evolutionary. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bradley Cooper, who played Rocket. Clenentief played Mantis. Dave Bautista played Drax. Karen Gillian played Nebula. Vin Diesel played Groot. Maria Bakalova played Cosmo, or I guess voiced Cosmo, really. Sean Gunn, who played Kraglin and Young Rocket. Will Poulter, who played Adam Warlock. Nico Santos, who played Recorder Teal. Linda Cardellini, who voiced Lila. Asim Chaudhry, who voiced Teefs. Michaela Hoover, who voiced Floor. Elizabeth Debicki, who voiced Aisha, who was also like the High Priestess. Sylvester Stallone, who voiced Stakar Ogard, who played Stakar Ogard. Oh my god, I messed that up a little bit. Sorry. And then Nathan Fillion, who played Master Karja. So there was a pretty big cast in this movie, that's for sure. But we kind of discovered that the story was also like throughout like this trilogy of movies was mainly supposed to be about Rocket. Apparently, I can't talk. I was having no problem earlier, but yeah. So the movie opens with a young Rocket being picked out of a litter. We're not really sure why. It just shows him being picked. So the first planet we go to is Nowhere, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy HQ. And a new enemy comes to Nowhere, going after Rocket first, but fighting off the other Guardians with ease as they get involved, obviously. Now, Rocket, unfortunately, is injured to the point where he needs help, right? So they have to kind of go on this mission in order to find a whole bunch of stuff in order to help him. Now, he does have... where was I? So he has a flashback of being experimented on and being thrown in with Batch 89. So I guess, like, his flashbacks are kind of like, obviously, his past, right? Like, where he kind of came from. Kind of like a little bit of an origin story for him. Even though if you, like, read anything about him, I guess you would kind of know that he wasn't completely like 100% animal, right? Like he'd been kind of made into a machine in certain parts, and like his smarts were out of this world, right? Like he was actually smarter than the High Evolutionary, which was crazy. Um, so Nebula discovers that Rocket has a kill switch, and the tech was developed by Orgo Corp, and there is a pass key to bypass the kill switch, and that his number was 89P13. So that was like, I guess, all of the like experiments obviously had a number attached to them. Clearly part of like the High Evolutionary's experimental process. Like he just had a number for everything so that I guess he would know. And I guess 89 would make sense, right? Because he was part of batch 89. So I'm not exactly sure. Like the 89 would be batch 89, but then what would the P13 stand for? Maybe he was the 13th in that group. I'm not really sure. I guess there's kind of speculation as to what that could be completely. But 89P13 is Rocket's code, and he has 48 hours to live, basically. So not a lot of time for the group to kind of go, from planet to planet and try to figure out how to save him, right? So then Rocket has another flashback. So the Guardians leave. Sorry, I guess I should say that. Leave with that. The Guardians then leave for Orgo Corp, leaving Kraglin and Cosmo in charge of Nowhere, which at this point isn't that bad of a thing, right? Like, I know they're not really getting along, and at the very beginning of the movie, Kraglin was trying to show that he could finally control the weapon that he was using from his brother, and then Cosmo kind of showed him up a little bit, and he called her a bad dog, and she was not very happy with that, and now they're kind of fighting a little bit, but they're left in charge of that planet. So Rocket has another flashback, making friends with the rest of Batch 89, and then the High Priestess and Adam are basically told to find 89P13/Rocket once again, because obviously they failed the first time around, right? Like Adam by himself wasn't able to get the job done and ends up getting injured and then having to leave. So yeah, he was hurt in battle enough that he couldn't even fight anymore. So then we go to the Orgo Corp, which is Orgo Corp HQ. So the Guardians are met by the Ravagers just outside the Orgo Corp with Gamora, who Gamora seems to have joined, I guess. So this is like past Gamora now, not the Gamora that unfortunately Quill knew before, right? So he's trying to get her to like remember things, right? But she's like totally just shoving him off every step of the way. Like that's not who I am, sort of thing. Like whoever, like whatever version of Gamora you had, this is not the same version, right? Like she's basically just kind of living the Ravager life, and I think he's a little upset about that because he was actually part of the Ravagers too, right? Like he says, she's kind of posing as a Ravager, where he actually was one. Now, the Ravagers do end up giving them the suits in order to obviously get into the Orgos Corp, and then once they're inside, they have like the actual like I guess attire that the crew would wear, right? Like inside. So they end up flushing their suits out the door. So now they have to find a new way in order to escape, right? And it doesn't go well. Like Gamora is just absolutely hell-bent on like shooting people and stuff, and Quill's trying to find like a peaceful way out, and then Drax wants to fight too, so it ends up just being a huge mess where he has to take over like all of the suits for the Orgo Sentries, which is what protects the Orgo Corp and Orgo Corp, I guess, as well. But they are able to get the file on Rocket, and they are able to like eventually save him down the road, right? Which is good. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in between that. So they do end up being able to take over the suits for the Orgo Sentries and just making their way out of there, right? Which is good, because those Orgo Sentries, the Ravagers weren't kidding when they said, that they were a pretty deadly force. So they weren't ones to be toyed with, for sure. And once they find out like who everybody is, they go after them. And also Nebula and Drax almost get killed in that scene. So you know how just how powerful they are when you realize just how powerful Nebula and Drax are in retrospect to how much more powerful these Orgo sentries could be. Um, so in the next flashback, Rocket is shown advancing quickly and is shown counter Earth, where all of the new life will go when ready. Rocket is shown batch 90, but all the experiments are going feral, and Rocket is able to solve the issue. So he realizes that there's something going on with, like, the system or whatever that's creating these newfound animals. Um, I can't remember the exact terminology for it, but there was something going on, like imbalance, right? There was an imbalance anyway, and that was creating the animals to go a little bit sadistic instead of just being peaceful creatures. So once inside the Orgoscorp, like I said, the Guardians lose their spacesuits and must find another way out, as well as the file for Rocket. So they do find and then I said, he takes control of all the suits, and so then, of course, we go to another flashback after all of this, where Rocket's friends tell each other their names, or I guess they're kind of like coming up with their names because they realize that they can't just have a number their entire life, right? So we get Lila, Teefs, and then Floor, and then of course that's when he finally names himself Rocket. And then when we go back to real time, Gamora is telling the Guardians about the High Evolutionary, the creator of Orgo Corp, which is a front for, I guess, all of his other experiments. So Orgo Corp is just like supposed to be, like I guess what would you say, like a cover for what he's actually doing, I suppose. Which, let's just say it isn't great, because he's basically trying to make like animal-sized, like he's trying to turn animals into human with like the counter Earth thing, but it's not going well, obviously, and it seems that this isn't the first time he's tried it either, right? So, what was I going to say? Gamora accidentally gives the High Priestess and Adam her location, thinking that she is talking to the Ravagers, but she's really not, because she just wants to get out of there, right? Like, she doesn't want any part of the Guardians anymore. She just wants to get back to the Ravagers, who she finds are her people now, I guess, just based on, her being from the past, as it is. Like, she's doesn't really have any, like, feelings towards any of them, even though she knows that Nebula is her sister. She still like is very still very like shut off to her, I guess, compared to like how Gamora was in the first two movies. But a breakthrough is made. What did I write there? Sorry, I'm trying to read what I even wrote there. Oh, a breakthrough is made with Batch 92. My bad. So it seems that Batch 90 and Batch 91 didn't work out quite well. But I guess they've basically kind of refined Rocket's idea now at this point. And the High Evolutionary comes to Rocket to question him on how he even knew like how to fix the experiments, and then he tells Rocket he will not be part of the New World, but wants to study his brain and just plans to kill the rest of his friends, which is a sad moment, right? Because Rocket was really preparing for the fact that he was going to be going to this new like counter Earth, right? And I guess he was never meant to. He was just kind of there to be the brains for the bigger operation, I suppose, which is a little messed up. But then then the Guardians land on Counter Earth, and Counter Earth seems to be inhabited by human-sized animals, and they don't speak any English. So it's a little, they don't speak any, I don't even know if they really speak an actual language at all. It's just kind of, it just kind of seems like a bunch of gibberish, really, but I'm not really sure. I suppose maybe they have like their own language, and the High Evolutionary made it that way, but yeah. It was kind of funny to see. So, obviously, they have to get onto the High Evolutionary ship, and uh, Quill and Groot are able to escape eventually because they needed the one. They needed the one scientist or whatever in order to get like what they needed for him. So Recorder Teal, they needed information out of him in order to completely save Rocket, right? So they had to get onto the ship, and yeah, eventually they do escape, and they are able to get the records out of that guy's head, in order to eventually save Rocket. Um, so Rocket in the next flashback sets up an escape plan but the High Evolutionary is there to stop them, causing Rocket to go on a rampage and losing all three of his friends in the process, which was unfortunate. But he did get quite a few good licks in on the High Evolutionary and ended up like messing up his face completely. And then he does end up escaping himself, but at like what cost, right? Because the three people he really wanted to save end up, or the three friends that he really wanted to save end up being the ones that get killed in the crossfire sort of thing. So what was I saying there? So the High Evolutionary's plan is actually to wipe out this counter Earth and start from scratch. After Quill tells him, this isn't really going to plan. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of out of whack with your whole peaceful planet, right? And yeah, so the High Evolutionary obviously agrees with him and says that's why we're going to start over again. So this clearly isn't the first time this has happened, right? So who knows how many batches like he's gone through, right, to do all these experiments. It's just absolutely crazy to think that he's trying to create like this perfect peaceful planet and can never really get it completely perfect. And just instead of just like maybe creating some sort of other system, he just destroys the whole planet and starts over, which is absolutely insane. So Adam and the High Priestess show up just as Counter Earth is being destroyed, and I believe the High Priestess is actually killed, unfortunately. So Adam loses his mother, and then obviously with nowhere else to go, he ends up just kind of joining the Guardians, right, in fighting the High Evolutionary, because I believe the High Evolutionary even created them too, or at least made some sort of deal with them. I'm not sure whether he had created them or not, but I think at one point she does say that Adam was woken up too early, like he wasn't ready yet, so he hasn't like fully developed, and you can kind of see that like his brain hasn't fully developed yet. So there's some things that are still like he hasn't obviously grown into his full power yet. So that's a little scary because we know how strong he is. And yeah, I guess his brain isn't fully developed before they let him out of his like chamber or whatever, right? So again, he's going to have to take some time to really come into his full power. But once he does, he's going to be a scary force for sure. Nebula, Drax, and Mantis make it onto the High Evolutionary ship after Quill and Groot have already escaped. And once aboard, they end up finding like all of these child prisoners from this other colony. So they end up having to help them, right? Obviously. It wouldn't be right if they didn't. They wouldn't really be the Guardians of the Galaxy if they didn't help these guys. So when Rocket is being saved, he ends up having a vision of Lila when he, obviously when he's close to death, right? And when asked if he can end up joining them, she tells him that he still has a purpose, like it isn't his time, so he comes back to life. And Quill's definitely happy about that because he wasn't ready to let go of his best friend. And they have definitely become best friends throughout these 3 movies for sure. So Quill calls on Kraglin to get Nebula, Drax, and Mantis off the High Evolutionary ship, obviously for help too. And then once he realizes that there's all of these prisoners on there, he really needs the extra help to get them off of the ship. So they like lock the ships, and then Cosmo creates like a seal for everybody to get off safely. And then Rocket says that he's tired of running anymore, right? So now that he's helped all the kids off the ship, he realizes that the animals need saving too. And he does actually come to the realization that he was a raccoon. Finally, after all of this time, like him saying that he wasn't a raccoon this entire series of movies, it just is crazy that he's kind of come full circle to realize that he actually was. Um, so the Hellspawn, which is another one of the Hive Legionaries' creations, he wakes them up in order to attack Nowhere, and that is when Kraglin is able to get like full control of his weapon, and obviously Cosmo helps him a little bit to protect the planet, right? But yeah, they defend Nowhere pretty well against all of the Hellspawn, and also at that point, I believe somewhere in there, um, oh my god, so yeah, Kraglin is able to finally control his weapon, and then Mantis is actually able to calm down the Abelisks, which are basically kind of cornering her, Drax, and Nebula, and they're able to ride them out onto Nowhere eventually. Like they're able to ride them out of where they were hiding, and then they're able to get them on Nowhere. So it was absolutely crazy. Like all of the animals and all of the children ended up being on Nowhere. Um, Now I'm not sure if the planet can even like hold that many things, but it seemed to work. Seemed to work fine. And unfortunately, yeah, in that scene, it's crazy. Quill loses like his little music player and has to go back for it, and almost loses his life in that process. But Adam was there to save him, so Adam has kind of become one of the Guardians at this point, right? Um, and yeah, Rocket does choose to save all of the animals, like I said, and they end up defeating the High Evolutionary and letting him like die with the ship. Um, yeah, because even though Rocket could have killed him right then and there, he said it wouldn't be. He wouldn't be a Guardian of the Galaxy if he killed him. He'd like be basically be the same kind of person that the High Evolutionary was, right? Um, so at the end of the movie, now that we're here, Gamora goes back to the Ravagers. Quill says he will return to Earth in order to visit his grandfather because Mantis brought up that, he probably still has family left on planet Earth, but yeah, I guess it's only his grandfather left at this point. Quill says, oh yeah, sorry, Quill says he will return to Earth. Mantis wants to go like explore because she never really had a chance to, being stuck on the planet she was on. Nebula and Drax stay on Nowhere to help, obviously, with the planet now, leaving Rocket to be the new leader of the Guardians. So now we have the new Guardians with Rocket being the leader, Kraglin, Cosmo, Groot, Adam's pet, and one of the children they saved from the ship. So I'm not entirely sure who she's supposed to be, but she must be. I'm sure they'll tell us eventually. But obviously, she has somewhat importance if that was the one kid that they picked, right? Or she just volunteered. I'm not really sure. But it was just, yeah. So I'm looking forward to the new Guardians, and it does say that Star-Lord will return at some point. I would imagine probably in Doomsday at the end of the year. That's what I'm guessing. Because I don't know if. Now, I know, like, obviously, like, Bradley Cooper and a lot of them were, like, really close with James Gunn. So they're going to go over to DC, obviously. But I don't think Chris Pratt really was that close. So I think maybe that's why they said that, because he doesn't have really any obligation on either side of the fence, right? Like, he could probably flip-flop back and forth if he wanted to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing at least Star-Lord move on, if none of the rest of them decide to come back and do anything else with the Guardians. But yeah, it definitely was an emotional ending, because it's that's a long time to spend with somebody, and then all of a sudden that it's coming to an end, and it's like, damn, like that many years filming those films, and then all of a sudden you're just not doing it anymore. It would be kind of heartbreaking, right? Like, you probably wanted another chapter, but you're never going to get it. But it is what it is. But yeah, a very good film, and of course, I know you're probably getting sick of me with saying this, but this is one of those films where the soundtrack is just phenomenal. So again, I have to give kudos where kudos is due, or credit where credit is due, I guess, because yeah, the soundtrack is just absolutely phenomenal for each scene, and yeah, the animation in this was one of probably the best out of all of the Marvel films for sure. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for this review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.